do a video after this one on a new. We're going to try. We're going to succeed in actually. But before that, I just want to say a few things. It's game over for the globalists. It's only a matter of us now getting this speeding up their departure. I woke up this morning with a very distinct feeling that they had thrown the towel in, or they were not in control anymore. They were losing control, and that's not hardly surprising when you look at the recent video from Davos at how naff and insane and unhinged they all looked. I really do believe, and Paul Joseph Watson has brought this up. Of all the conspiracy theories, the planned ones that I found the most plausible was always Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam was this concept of having some kind of false flag alien invasion, that the aliens were coming and they were here to save us from climate change or whatever. And Paul Joseph Watson is right, they're pushing this non-stop. There is absolutely an alien agenda that starts with things like ancient aliens and works through all the alien stuff. And you have very sinister characters like Nick Pope. Who MI5 or MI6. Remember, that agreement that he's signed is binding for life. He also says nothing. But the UFO scene is full of like people who are like, it's a religion to them. They just want to hear the Roswell story told over and over again, the Rendlesham Forest. They never want to hear anything new. They hear something new, it doesn't matter. They go to conferences or church, and everything is connected to aliens, everything. And there's also some very, very degrading stuff about our ancient ancestors, that they couldn't have done this unless aliens were involved. And I'm getting kind of pissed off at a lot of that kind of stuff as well. I was kind of like, never bothered me, but you can see now that like everything is aliens. And it's connected to some very sinister individuals. And the intelligence services are definitely pushing this stuff left, right, and centre. And I don't believe it at all. I mean, yeah, I believe there's UFOs and stuff, but they're pushing the old cliches. It would be very narcissistic for us to think of all the planets in the universe. You know, this is so shite that we've heard it over and over again. But if you go to normie boards on Irish political message boards, where they're the most close-minded NPCs you could ever meet in your life, you know, they're like literally anyone who thinks outside the absolute mainstream is a nut job to them. They're all going UFO, and the U.S. Navy said they showed these things. What are they? They're very interesting. A year ago, people who brought that up on that message board blocked them, and then are called them mentally ill. And they're now saying the same things because they've been given government sanction. They've been sanctioned by central governments to say it's okay to believe in UFOs. And they're using the same cliches. Well, it would be narcissistic to think that, like, of all the planets in the universe, and Brian Cox gone, fucking gorgeous Brian Cox! He'll be up there, right? And going, all the stars, you know, there's life out there somewhere. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that they're inching towards this. Especially during the psychiatric episodes in Davos, that were the past for lectures. You had, your man, what's his name? The guy who ran for US president, the guy who flies around the world in private jets, talking about how we should all stay at home and reduce our carbon footprints, saying that it's extraterrestrial. Where did that come from? Would the geriatric leak that one out by mistake? And half of them angry and pissed off because the 9-year-old rent boy that was in their hotel rooms didn't show up the night before. John Kerry, that's the guy. And I didn't say he was the 9-year-old people. I said, like, he was the one that said extraterrestrial. But Skull and Bones, 322. But watch out for that one. But here in Ireland, it's like the north side of the city, huge swathes of working class areas of the city have now been taken back from Antifa and the Irish and the globalists. The globalists are on the run in the north side of Dublin. And, they're not bothered by people calling them Nazis or racist or far right, because they know that's all a code word for working class Indigenous Irish people. And they know that the people who are calling them Nazis all live in all white gated ghettos. I mean, the one who runs the Irish Refugee Council lives in the most exclusive street in Dublin. Her one neighbour on one side is Bono, on the other side is someone like Enya. And here she is talking about how we should all be diverse, and she lives in a house that like literally is worth countless millions. That's always the way, you know. So like the working class in whole swathes of North Dublin have taken the city over back from the globalists. Well, Ballymun and Finglas, it's difficult for East Wall, but they're doing great. It's a small, there's not a big population in East Wall. It's a small urban village, but like in Finglas, Ballymun, they've liberated the city. As of today, two huge neighbourhoods in the north side of Dublin, Finglas and Ballymun have been liberated from the globalists. Just think about that. They've taken it over. They've liberated it from globalization, and that's going to spread around Ireland. It's going to spread. You're going to see it more and more around the country as the kind of the things that have been going on at these. Here's me rap about the maggot. You know, I'm a rapper man from North Wall. I'm here to tell you that you gotta be North Wall for all these fucking quizzlings, traitors. And if we don't shut these assholes, that those kinds of like North Side rappers, or like ones who sing song, oh, we stood up against the fascists. They're going on their tours of all the posh neighbourhoods because the locals have to drive them out for good. And I can tell you, the ones who are going, I'm here for diversity in the community. Those fellas, right? In 10 years' time, he'll be going. And this is you mark my words on this. If we don't stop them now, in 10 years' time, you'll be called far right for being against child sex. You'll be paedophilia being legalized. That's their next one. Remember, if we don't stop them with this now, the next one we'll be fighting will be. My name is John and I'm 51. I'm having sex with a 9-year-old boy. We're trying to get married, but the fascists say no. This is the kind of thing you'll be dealing with. That's the kind of thing you'll be rapping about in 10 years' time. If we don't stop them now, these globalists now, we will be fighting that battle in 10 years' time. Because that's the only thing the left wing, the trade unions, the left wing students groups, the LBGQ groups, T groups, the government civil service, the bureaucrats, the NGOs, they only have one strategic target, and that's the elimination of the age of consent. They want open season on young children. And we saw that with the drag queen story time. You would think that with the drag queen story time, there would have been a sense of clandestine restraint, a sense of, no, they went straight for children's genitalias. They literally couldn't help themselves. And that was a science fiction movie of the future. And that's why all the Irish politics, Pascal Donahue, he loves the idea of, nonsense in drag. Making sexual suggestions towards children. The Irish Finance Minister, remember, he gave us Gettysburg Street on Twitter. I will protect this bookshop. Fucking dickhead. We got a real insight into him and what they're all. Stop them on this globalization stuff now, particularly in regards to the plantation, what's happening here in Ireland. And again, anyone who wants to come in as a legal refugee or a legal immigrant, once you come through the process, you cannot be having people burning their passports when they get to Dublin Airport, and then being allowed into the country and given houses and places to live, while with no identity or no background checks, while Irish people had to have a Vax ID pass to buy a cheeseburger. No, you've rolled the dice too much on that one. We have long memories. We didn't forget the Vax ID thing. We didn't forget it. We've long memories on that. So Leo Varadkar, Micheál Martin, Mr. No Talk of Backward Sovereignty, the rest of them, they implemented an apartheid system on Irish people based on who took an experimental medical treatment that does not work. We're up to booster number 4 now. That's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 safe and 100% effectives. If it was 100% effective, there'd only been one. But now we've had 6 more after that. And they implemented a body by choice. And then they have the audacity to expect us to take in people in their tens of thousands who have no path, that they've destroyed their own passports, and they could be serial killers or anything. Now, I'm sure among them there's also great people as well. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They've created their mere arrival in this country by destroying your passport was a criminal act. So their first engagement with the Republic of Ireland was a criminal engagement. And a very serious one, by the way, under international law, in having no passport. And then they expect us to be tolerant of that, while they made Irish people who wouldn't submit to an experimental medical treatment to apartheid. Sorry. You fucks are something else. How does someone like Micheál Martin fucking live with himself? And well, I know he's a maggot and he's an NPC, but and he knows other people like Houlihan and Varadkar, they're sadistic and they're enjoying it. But how do they actually, the emptiness of his brain? Well, mediocrity is the king of Irish politics. Mediocrity, nepotism, and cronyism is the king of Irish politics. And that's why they're bringing in the new Irish, because we, the indigenous Irish, know that all these politicians all come from a handful of families. They're all establishment, all interlinked, they're all corrupt, and we have to be replaced because we have long memories. So we remember when we had to have a digital ID, apartheid to buy a cheeseburger. But the new Irish, they didn't go through that, so they won't have the same baggage, and especially if they're being given free gifts. It's Tammany Hall. They'll buy their vote. No, fight this one to the end. We're already winning. The fact that they said we have no more room, they have tons of room. They would have kept that fucking creep weirdo O'Gorman. They would have kept bringing them in. It's only because of Ballymun, Eastwall, Fermoy, and Finglas, and then smaller ones around Tallaght, Clondalkin, but they're all important. That's changed. They're frightened. We got them on the run. And they're vicious and sadistic, so remember they'll try and torture us some more. But, it's a great education. It's like, during the Rona, what an education. Let me tell you about Bohemians Football Club. I was a Bohemian supporter since I was 9. I brought my young brothers to their first football matches in Dalymount Park. I will never, ever set foot in Dalymount Park ever again, and I am done as a Bohemian supporter. And guess what? There's dozens like me. That club is a joke, while other clubs ignore woke, particularly our main rival Shamrock Rovers. They're off into the Champions League this year. Their beautiful stadium, bam, everything they need. It's a proper real club. What are Bows doing? Putting up murals of, Che Guevara, whatever. It'll be Panty Bliss next on Dalymount, and they literally have no money for players. They'll be lucky in 2 years they could be in the Leinster League the way things are going, and that's because they have a supporter base now that places Palestinian flags and rainbow flags around the stadium is more important to them than actually winning trophies. And the fact that they signed that document against people in Ballymun, the Ballymun for All thing, they'd openly declared war on people in Ballymun. So you can forget about generations of Irish people on the north side of the city ever supporting Bows, ever. And this is nothing to do with being pro-racist or anything. Shelbourne didn't. Remember, Shelbourne, the other club on the north side of the city, they didn't sign anything. They were like, no, we're a football team, we're not a political party. But Bows, we are a branch of Antifa. That's what Bows said. Fucking unbelievable. But, clarity and everything else. That's the way it is. In years to come, Bows will be used as a case model of how not to run a football club in Ireland, and that's not to get involved in extreme left-wing politics to cater to a certain IPA-sipping, skinny jeans hipster crowd that have started supporting the club since the neighbourhood became gentrified. You don't have to attack far right in order to prove you're anti-racist. You know how you prove you're anti-racist? By doing nothing. Taking people as individuals. And you didn't do that. You treated everybody in Ballymun as an animal. And everyone at Feast Wall is an animal. And everyone at Finglas now is an animal. And those of you who say, am I stalking the class warfare thing? I'll quote from Malcolm X. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. We didn't start the class system. You did. And if it's coming back now to bite you on the ass, you've no one to blame but yourselves. Sanguine gnosis, keep being honourable and abiding by natural law, and don't be. You know you're not a bigot. You know you're not a racist. You know that you don't have any problem with people of color or people from other countries. In fact, the only ones that are obsessed with skin color and children's sexual organs are the left wings, the ones who go, fascist out, all right. They're they're absolutely obsessed with two things: children's sexual organs and skin color. And it's funny, and they're the ones who call other people white nationalists when they're completely obsessed with skin color. Fucking assholes. They're gone. They're just gone. Just ignore them. Don't even. And I'm so proud of the way people in East Wall and Ballymun walked right past those NPC animals with them. Fascist out from the, and it's even like news reports all over the world have reported them as the group who came up to oppose them were mostly for individuals from wealthy neighborhoods. I just had to laugh at that. Yep, that's the truth. It's 'cause it's the same everywhere. Same everywhere. No Irish person should ever apologize for being Irish. No Irish person should ever apologise. See, this is one of the reasons because the THC saturated truthers have always had a problem with me because I don't give a fuck about the Palestinian struggle. Because I used to look at the Israelis and go, I wish Ireland was like that, looking after their own people. But no, 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 and that's why all these people wave those Palestinian flags, because they literally want to turn Ireland into a caliphate. They're just unbelievable. They literally want to have Ireland, the crescent flying over Ireland. They don't care. So you have to remember, the Irish people who marched in Ballymun, East Wall, Fermoy, and other places around the country, they love being Irish. It means everything to them. It means so much to them to feel Irish. But the ones who call them names, far right and all the other things, fascist, they hate being Irish, and they want the crescent flying over the capital city. They want a caliphate. Never, ever, ever apologise for saying this is my land, this is the land of my, especially Irish people. This whole thing, we all, because we didn't have a colonial past, they tried to switch around. Well, the Irish were welcomed everywhere. Have you not seen Gangs of New York? The Irish were welcomed nowhere. I can't think of a country where the Irish were ever welcomed. They went to Australia as prisoners. They went to the Caribbean as prisoners, indentured servants. When they got off in America, they were the scum of the earth. Watch Gangs of New York again. The same everywhere. Canada. I mean, Jesus Christ, there was Irish immigrants who were burned in a mass killings in places like Kansas City. And the irony is that probably the English welcomed us better than probably most people, most nations. That's the irony of it. Even though it wasn't perfect, but they didn't welcome us, but they treated us with the most dignity compared to many other countries. And then we have to say, oh, we have to welcome them here. No, we were the ones who stayed, and our ancestors were the ones who stayed and built this country after the famine. They fought for independence and won independence. And if you think that we're going to hand this over to some guy from Armenia, or not Armenia, but like whatever, Syria, who's pretending to be a Ukrainian, you're wrong. You're just absolutely wrong. This is our country. This is our land. During the Rona, those of us who refused the needlecraft, what we had, we held. I'm going to now put that to one level. This is our country, and what we fought. We scraped this. This is not an easy country to live in. It's battered by the North Atlantic. It doesn't have the best farmland in the world. Life here was a hard struggle for the generations, and we're not handing it over to welfare tourists. And it has nothing to do with race or skin color. We fought and built this land out of a windswept rock in the northwest of Europe and made it into a beautiful, successful nation. And you think we're going to hand it over now? Because some Irish American called Shanahan McFlanagan in Boston, is now a member of the Democratic Party. No, fuck you.